around me and panicked. The blizzard had been raging for 3 days without pause. It was not a natural storm. On this world, storms did not come with such purpose, such cruelty. The wind screamed like a living thing, tearing ice from the sky and throwing it sideways across the frozen plains. Visibility was almost nothing. Even the native creatures had vanished into burrows or stone shelters. Long ago she was running out of time. The alien woman stumbled through knee-deep snow, her breath shallow and uneven. Her name was Lyra. She was not built for this world. Her people came from a warm ocean moon where storms were loud but gentle, where ice was something studied in museums, not something that tried to kill you. Her thermal cloak had failed hours ago. Each step felt heavier than the last. Her legs trembled, her joints stiffening as the cold crept deeper into her body. She had already lost one boot to the ice fissures hidden beneath the snow. Blood-stained, the white ground behind her, quickly swallowed by the storm. The escape pod had crashed far from its intended zone. The beacon was dead. The emergency rations were gone. And behind her, somewhere beyond the howling wind, were the hunters. She did not know what kind of beings they were. She only knew they were not here to rescue her. Lyra fell to her knees. The blizzard swallowed a cry before it could leave her throat. She pressed her hands into the snow, trying to push herself up, but her muscles refused. Her vision dimmed at the edges. This was how it ended, she thought. Frozen on a death world no one wanted. Then she saw it, a shape, dark and solid, not moving with the wind. At first she thought it was a rock. Then she noticed straight lines where nature preferred curves. A wall, a structure, a shelter. Hope surged through her like fire, painful and sudden. With the last of her strength, Lyra dragged herself forward, clawing through the snow until her hand struck something hard and metallic. A door. She struck it weakly, then harder, then with desperation fueled by fear. The storm drowned out the sound, but she kept hitting it until her knuckles split and her arms gave out. The door opened. Warm air spilled out, hitting her like a wave. Light followed, blinding after the endless white. A tall figure stood in the doorway, broad-shouldered, wrapped in thick layers of fabric and fur. His face was mostly hidden, but his eyes were sharp. Alert, he was human. Lyra froze. Every story her people told about humans slammed into her at once. Deathworlders, survivors of impossible gravity, creatures who evolved through war, predators disguised as thinkers. Her kind avoided them, studied them from a distance, warned younglings never to approach them alone. And here she was, collapsed at one's doorstep. She tried to crawl backward, panic flooding her weakened body. A broken sound escaped her throat as she raised one trembling hand in defense. The human reacted. Instantly, he dropped to one knee, moving slowly, deliberately. He pulled his hood back, revealing a weathered face lined by cold and age, dark hair streaked with frost. His eyes were not cruel. They were focused, concerned. He spoke, his voice low and calm, carrying through the storm, easy of freezing. Lyra did not understand the words, but she understood the tone. It was not the voice of a hunter still. Fear held her frozen. The human removed his heavy outer gloves and extended his bare hands, palms open, showing vulnerability in the most dangerous environment imaginable. Snow bit into his skin immediately, turning it red. He was risking himself for her. That confused her more than anything. Slowly, carefully, he lifted her from the snow. She was lighter than he expected, almost fragile beneath layers of alien fabric and frost. He carried her inside, shutting the door against the storm with a heavy clang. The shelter was small but solid. Metal walls, reinforced with stone. A heater hummed loudly, pushing warmth into the room. Tools lined one wall. A simple bed occupied the corner. The human laid her down gently and began removing her frozen cloak. Steam rose as the ice melted. Lyra tried to protest, but her body betrayed her. The warmth made her dizzy. Her vision blurred. She expected restraints, interrogation, pain instead. The human wrapped her in thick blankets and placed a heated pack against her core. He worked quickly, efficiently, with practiced movements that spoke of long experience in hostile environments. He said something again, softer this time. "You're safe here." Lyra finally lost consciousness when she woke. The storm was still raging outside, but the shelter was quiet. The warmth soaked into her bones, dulling the pain enough that she could think again. Her body still ached, but she was alive. The human sat nearby, cleaning a small cut on his hand. He looked up when she stirred and immediately set the cloth aside. "Good, you're awake." Lyra pushed herself up slightly, panic flickering again until she realized she was not restrained. Her translator implant crackled, struggling to sink. "Human?" she asked, her voice weak. He nodded. "Name's Eli." She hesitated. "Lyra." They studied each other in silence. Up close, Eli looked even more dangerous by her people's standards. Dense muscles, heavy bone structure, scars along his hands and jaw. Everything about him screamed survival, yet his movements were careful, almost gentle. "You came out of the storm," Eli said. "That blizzard kills trained explorers in minutes. How did you make it this far?" "I was running," Lyra answered simply. "From them." Eli's expression hardened. "Hunters." She nodded. He stood and checked a sensor near the door. "They won't cross the storm. Not tonight." "You found the one place they won't touch. Why?" she asked. He met her gaze. Because humans live here. The words were not boastful, they were a fact. The blizzard lasted 2 more days. During that time, Eli shared his shelter, his food, and his heat without question. He rationed carefully, ensuring Lyra always had enough, even when it meant he ate less. When her injured foot worsened, he treated it with medical supplies meant for himself. Lyra watched everything. She watched how he listened before speaking, how he checked the perimeter every hour, even in his sleep, how he repaired a cracked wall panel during the height of the storm, exposing himself to deadly cold without hesitation. She realized something unsettling. Humans were not reckless, they were prepared. On the 3rd day, the storm broke. The world outside was silent, buried under fresh snow. The hunters were gone. The sky cleared, revealing a pale sun. Lyra stood at the doorway, staring out at the endless white. Rescue would come eventually. Her people would trace her signal now that the interference was gone. I panicked when I saw you, she admitted quietly. Eli gave a small smile. Most do. My people say humans are dangerous. They're not wrong, he replied. Just incomplete. She turned to face him. Incomplete how? He looked out at the frozen world. They forget the rest of the sentence. Humans are dangerous to things that mean harm. 2 storms, 2 predators, to despair. Lyra understood then. Humans were not Deathworlders because they loved death. They were Deathworlders because they refused to accept it. When the rescue ship arrived hours later, its crew was tense and armed, expecting the worst. They stared in disbelief as Lyra walked out of the shelter unharmed, supported by a human who looked like he belonged to the planet itself. She stopped before boarding and looked back at Eli. You saved my life, she said. He shook his head. You found the door. As the ship lifted off, Lyra watched the small shelter disappear beneath the clouds. Somewhere below, a single human remained on a frozen world, calm in a storm that terrified entire civilizations, and she knew that when her people spoke of humans again, the stories would change. Not because humans demanded it, but because truth survived them.